Welcome into the Sports Objective Podcast, 50 Pirates in 50 Days. We were with you this morning, and we had originally planned on talking to the guy on the screen there in the top right corner, Chip Thompson, former East Carolina defensive back from 2012 to 2013 after transferring in from Hinds Community College. We were planning on doing this tomorrow, but Chip was nice enough to bump it up to tonight because my family and I are going out of town. Chip, how's it going, man?
Going good. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. We appreciate you accommodating our schedule and joining us tonight. And welcome in on the bottom of the screen, my impromptu co-host, Terry Gallagher, better known as Captain Bunk.
And I even got dressed up for it today. How about that? I got a shirt. I got a real button shirt on.
I really appreciate you coming on, Terry. I know you've had a long day, been over in the Auburn area for Coach Dye's celebration of life, so to speak, with former players and coaches. And we'll certainly let you talk more about that later on. But I know you've just gotten back in to Warner Robins here in the last little bit. So I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate y'all having me. You know me, I love talking East Carolina football.
Always. So, Chip, take us back there, I guess, 2008, 2009, thereabouts, when you were coming out of high school. Because Pirate Nation, we primarily knew you from Hinds Community College on once you made that decision to become a Pirate. But talk about your high school career and the sports you played and how you got to Hinds.
All right, so 2009, I graduated Forest Hill High School. Had offers to go a couple places. I ended up going to Ole Miss, however. A lot of people don't know that. I didn't play. So when I left there, I went to Hinds, played for 2 years. Guy by the name of Brian Mitchell, Coach Mitchell, came down to recruit Adonis Armstrong. And my coach just texted me, said, hey, I want you to go to this meeting with Adonis and Coach Mitchell. And we got to watching his Adonis's film, and he asked me to put a little bit of my film on. And before I can make it home that day, Coach Mitchell was calling with a scholarship offer. So I committed right then. I was ready to go.
Sounds good. And that's what I had no idea. I did not. I knew you and Adonis were coming in together, but I didn't realize that part of the story. But it's funny how things work out like that.
Yeah.
So other than the Pirates, Southern Mississippi, anybody like that? Were there other schools in the running before you committed so quickly?
You know what's funny about it? My wife graduated from Southern Miss, and that was the school that I wanted to go to. Recruited me not out of high school, not out of junior college. Recruited me. So when I got that interception against Ebron at North Carolina, Larry Fedora was on the sideline. I had something special for him.
Oh, he was the Southern Miss coach, huh? Oh, okay. Okay, right.
I mean, not one better.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's good.
Yeah, that's what Coach Fedora certainly did an excellent job at Southern Mississippi, but
he did.
But his loss, the Golden Eagles' loss was a Pirate gain for sure. So you talk about Coach Ruffin McNeil. Obviously, like you said, you were recruited by Brian Mitchell. But when was the first time you met Coach Ruff?
So I committed, and then my sophomore year I started. Came up for a visit, and this was before they offered Adonis, but he came with me. Came up for a visit. First time I seen him, he just came to me with I had been talking to him, but the first time I seen him, he came to me with look. I reached out for a handshake, and he just engulfed me, and I was like, all right, I can get used to this. So, I mean, he's a class act, one of the smartest guys I know, knows X's and O's like the back of his hand, and he's best coach I ever played for.
Like you say, you always want to coach Ruff's sayings or phrases, and you always hear hug them up, love them up.
Yeah, love on them a little bit.
Yeah, love on them. Love on them a little bit. I'm about as country as a row of corn and all kinds of sayings.
Yes. ABC, avoid bad company. PIP, Pirates in public. What happened? He can go on all day.
Grown man football. We're going to play grown man football.
Yeah. You're missing one letter in that, but yeah.
What's that?
GAM.
GAM. DAM mode.
I'm telling you, Ruffin was my teammate.
Yeah?
By the way, yeah, he and I played 3 years on the same team together. He came my second year playing, and he and I, Ruffin was a strong safety.
Yeah.
And I know it's hard to look at him now and think that, but he was a strong safety, and we did a lot of 1-on-1, and I don't know why, because we only threw the ball twice during the game, but we would do 1-on-1, and of course Ruffin and I'd have to go against each other occasionally, and we've had some good times together, and we all back then, like I was telling you earlier about Coach Dye. We only knew one thing, and that was that when we stepped on the field, we had one expectation, and that's to win.
Oh, yeah.
Anything less, then that's not acceptable. And we did it with class, though. If we did get beat, we went over there, shook our hands, looked them in the eye, and we told them we'd be back next time. But if we, if we beat teams, we didn't try to run the score up. We didn't try to. Against North Carolina, where we beat them in '75, first time ECU had beat them in Keenan Stadium, and we had the ball late in the game inside the 5, second down and goal. Coach Dye sent in, kill the clock. Man, there was some mad people in the huddle, but we did. We took the knee twice, ran the clock out with the ball on the 2-yard line, and that to me says it all. See, you win with class. You lose with class, and good things will come to you. And Ruffin's class act.
Absolutely. And Chip, have you ever seen the interception that Coach Ruff had down in the 1978 Independence Bowl? It's actually on YouTube. So
yeah, we could have used that to kill the clock.
I never seen that. I got to check my guy out.
He ran out of gas. He ran out of gas. He intercepted about our 10-yard line. Yeah, they were going in the end zone. He intercepted about the 10-15. He had wide open field. They came and got him. They were throwing hooks all in that back. They were really.
Don't tell me. Make fun of him now.
Right. Well, you got to check that out. Yeah, Ruffin, but he did have a great interception. That game in the Independence Bowl, we had, I think, 7 or 8 turnovers from the defense. So that's how you win football right there.
Yeah, most definitely.
Like Terry's saying, Ruff ran it back 50 or 60 yards, and then when you see the film, Chip, it looked as though, granted, the eye in the sky, seeing it from that wide perspective, it's easy for me to say in hindsight, but just looking at it, I think if he'd have just given him a little fake to the inside and then just straight on the sideline, it would have been good, but
yeah.
He tried to cut it back inside.
That's my guy, though, man. That's my guy.
Yeah. He's a great guy.
So, Chip,
one more time, man. Go ahead.
Oh, no problem. When you were arriving on campus there with that class of 2012, Coach Ruff's third year, the Pirates had been to a bowl in year 1, came up just shy in year 2, 5-7, lost a heartbreaker in the season finale up at Marshall. So, really looking forward to a better year in year 3, and you guys certainly delivered that. So, your very first game in the purple and gold against App State at Dowdy Ficklin, one of the hottest days ever in Greenville, probably. And we've had some hot ones, but that day I remember people, they were falling out left and right, players and fans. And I just remember, I'm trying to remember, what was it? The quarterback or running back for App State put it on the ground, and it looked as though the play was dead, and you scooped and scored in your very first game as a Pirate.
Yeah, man, it was definitely a hot game. I remember at halftime I had to get IVs in each arm. True story. But the quarterback took off, scrambled with it. I promise you, I did not know the playbook at all. I probably shouldn't have been starting, but the ball was on the ground, so I picked it up. I took a chance on it, ended up getting the first points.
I had a pretty good first game against Appalachian State myself. Kind of like playing them, except in my case, I had a good game, but we lost, so it didn't matter. So,
Man, you can't lose to App State. Can't lose to
yeah, well, we did, and we paid the price for it too, buddy. That Sunday was not fun.
Yeah, Terry, before you joined us, once I knew that you probably were going to join, I told Chip that you had 3 catches for 218 yards. In that first
218. Yeah.
72.7 per catch.
72.7. First, those are my first 3 catches at ECU. So I said, man, this going to be good. This is fun. We had played NC State the first game, and we'd lost to them, and then played out. I think App State was the second game, and we lost. But we threw the ball. The only reason we threw it because we were behind. And, Appalachian State, that was the most points scored on us and Coach Dye's the entire time at ECU. I think 41 maybe. But we did not we didn't give up a lot of points. Our 78 defense was number 2 in the nation in total defense. Penn State beat us by a yard. So that's kind of football. With Coach Dye, it was defense first, then special teams, then offense. And what the offense's job was is to don't turn the ball over. And defense, how you win games. That was his whole thing.
So, Chip, you said early on, we mentioned the scoop and score against App State. You said you didn't know the playbook particularly well. You probably shouldn't have been starting. So talk about as the season went on. I know you started 12 out of 13 ball games that year. You started 12 out of 13 the following year in 2013
right.
in a few minutes. But just talk about the 2012 season as a whole. What are some of your memories and just kind of the flow of that season? Because at one point we were 5-4 before we won 3 straight to finish 8-4 and go to the New Orleans Bowl.
Yeah. So again, I probably shouldn't have been starting the first game. I promise you I shouldn't, especially not the second game against South Carolina. I knew about pattern reading and everything, but it was a big step for me coming from junior college. And of course I was fast enough to play, but I just couldn't process it all as fast as I could. So me and Lamar Ivy, we split time. I would take a possession and he'll take the next, and we just fly back and forth. But then something happened. I'm glad it happened. Me and Coach Mitchell, he got on me in the week preparing. I think it was maybe week 5 against UNC. First time we played them, and he got mad at me, took me out the field, put Lamar in. Lamar messed up on the same thing, took him out the field. So he said he's gonna start Desi Brown. And from that moment, I said, let me just buckle down, learn this stuff, and promise you that when I get my opportunity again, I'm gonna make the best of it. So we ended up losing to UNC, played UTEP the next game. I got National Defensive Player of the Week.
Right.
Put it all together, and I buckled down and just learned it all. So that was probably the best moment of my career.
That's good.
That UTEP game in 2012, we were actually talking to Robert Jones, former Pirate defensive lineman turned offensive lineman. He was an offensive lineman when you got there. Say that again.
Right. Yeah. He was a monster. He was a monster for real.
And so in 2012, that UTEP game, like you're saying, it was a coming out party. I guess not only for yourself, like you were saying, but I remember Ventavious Cooper and I think it stands out even more because that UTEP game was so unusual with the way we had the lightning delay and all the fans had to evacuate and go into Minji's Coliseum or to their cars. And then we came back out, and of course some folks had decided to go home, but more than not stayed. And in the rain that night with that muddy track, that's what Coop had a big night, and the defense really played well also.
Yeah, that was a super fun game. Coop, funny story about Coop. We played against him in junior college, me and Adonis. So just seeing him go out there and light it up. It was bad that Reggie got a concussion that game, but in retrospect, it worked out for the best because Tay had a great night, and I think Adonis ended up catching an interception that night too. So we both got our first interceptions on the same night.
Funny story about that game. You remember with Coop having a big night, all of the fans started the Coop, and he said, "Why are they booing me?"
Yeah. Oh, Coop, man, that's my guy.
And you actually got to something I meant to ask you as far as you guys playing against each other, because he was at Southwest Mississippi Community College when you were at Hinds?
Yeah, we played against him twice actually. Our freshman year and our sophomore year. But that sophomore year, man, I mean, he was a house. He played quarterback, so they didn't throw the ball at all. I mean, that guy can run the ball for real.
So with Coop running the ball at quarterback, that's what any idea. Did he get any looks from any other schools that maybe run the option? Or was he mainly being recruited as a running back?
Honestly, I don't know. So what happened was when I think I was the first guy from junior college in Mississippi to commit that year, and as I did, I mean, we just had guys coming from everywhere. We ended up getting Lance Ray from Mississippi as well, Northwest Mississippi. Adonis, I mean, we already had Chris Baker up there. So, I mean, ECU just took all the good junior college players that year.
Yeah, it seems like Ventavious was a very late addition to that 2012 class.
Yep.
I remember hearing that news sometime during the summer. I don't know if it was May or June, but I just remember, hey, we got this junior college quarterback coming in as running back.
Junior college quarterback. Ventavious. Now he's the one from Georgia.
Yeah,
he's actually from Southeast Georgia. Little small school. Gosh, I can't think. Class A school down. Yeah, he was that area of football. There's some good football in that area where he grew up, definitely. And he's one of those. See, the whole key to that type of guy is never give him a clean shot. So you're always moving, spinning, twirling. You're doing something so that you're like a pinball. And he was. I enjoyed watching him. But I said, tell the truth, Chip. What did you know about East Carolina whenever they came and said they wanted to talk to you about playing at East Carolina?
All right, so believe it or not, again, remember I went to Ole Miss my freshman year, but I didn't play. So I remember in my dorm room that year, I want to say it was against Virginia Tech. My guy blocked the field goal.
T.J. Lee.
Yeah.
T.J. Lee blocked the kick.
Yeah.
And he took it back, and I was like, who is those guys? And then Chris Johnson that year had a monster. I was like, dude. So he came from that. So, okay, 3 years go by, and I, never hear about East Carolina again.
Right.
But a guy from my junior college that I played with, Chris Baker, he ended up going there.
Okay.
So then, of course, they came to recruit me. I went ahead and committed as soon as they offered. But the first game of the season against South Carolina, I think it was 2011. I think I played them in Charlotte. I went to Buffalo Wild Wings to watch the game, and I said, "Yeah, I made a great decision."
You saw and you were the. See, what I hate is these guys that have played on some losing teams. They haven't had the experience I had. I had that experience where everybody expected to win, and it didn't matter who we were playing. We were going to beat them. And it was just a true exciting experience. You look forward to Saturdays. It was not just we're a unique group of people in that it don't matter where you go in this country. If you run into somebody that's an East Carolina Pirate, it's like you know them, and you may not have ever seen that person in your life. So you're in a true family. And regardless of when I played or you played or whatever, once a pirate, always a pirate, brother. And so you got buddies, you got friends, you got teammates, and if you ever need anything, we're here. And that's the way we do things, you know. And it don't always, you know, we've had some down years, and that's really hurt. But we got to get through this and get back where we need to be, and that's doing what we did was do the things people weren't supposed to be able to do. And that's what makes it special, is when anybody can do the things you expect people to do, but it's doing those it's doing those things that people don't expect you to do. And when people tell you you're not good enough, or you know, like Ole Miss, okay, you can't play in the SEC, you can't play in the SEC, right? You know, you get tired of hearing that, don't you? And you know that, come on, we want some of you because we're just as good as anybody. We might not have your money, but on any given day in football, you know, that ball bounces funny. so you know, right attitude, right belief, right work ethic, and you can get there. But yeah, it's funny. I always love to hear how people got to Greenville. And once you got on campus, what did you think about Greenville?
Honestly, and I'm very biased about East Carolina. That school is bigger than Ole Miss. The campus is.
We're not what you expect.
Yeah, at all. I don't see why we can't move up to a bigger conference and things like that. The only thing we have to do in the next 10 years is just be competitive.
For some reason, we take two steps forward, one step back, but we're that close. We're always that close.
For real.
And, I get tired of it because I want to be at the top.
So, you know, I sell cars for a living now. I'm a finance manager. Every time somebody in the office, they ask, yeah, I know you play football. Where did you play? And I tell them. And, I mean, our brand is recognizable even down here in the SEC country.
Right.
Like, oh, yeah, y'all had a good team 2012, 2013, 2014. Y'all were ranked, weren't you? Yeah. I mean, it's national for real.
Yeah.
Chip,
Go ahead.
That's part of the reason why I always say when you hear instead of East Carolina, when you hear the Eastern Carolina BS, I honestly think that a lot of times that is intentional because it's UNC journalism majors, you know, trying to get a little jab in at the Pirates.
Yeah, they refuse to accept the fact that we are equal to them. See, because I know when we played and beat them, they had the Ram Club was over the dressing room where we came out into the stadium, and so they would sit up there. And when we came out of the dressing room, we had to keep our helmets on, or if we were going back in, we had to keep our helmets on because they would throw things. They would sit there and throw things down at us, and they'd hit us with stuff. But it was funny, after the game, we beat them 38-13 or whatever. And, you know, there weren't many of them there to throw nothing.
Yeah, that reminds me of 2013, we got those black jerseys and we was going back to Chapel Hill. And we had just won like 2 weeks before for the first time. And coach was like, you know what, guys? They want to have this something. I think they was doing what is it?
They were having, I think it was maybe like Military Appreciation Day. They had the white out.
That's what it was. He was like, why would they choose our game to do that? You know what? We're gonna wear all black because we're going to a funeral. And he set the standard for their week. We practiced harder than we ever practiced before, and we went in and gave them a knapsack full of A-whooping. For real.
I'm telling you, it ain't nothing finer than beating Carolina. I guarantee you that. Right.
We definitely want to circle back around to that game here in just a few minutes. But while we're on 2012, Chip, obviously we want to focus on the positive memories for the most part. But I know in the pre-show, yeah, I guess I'm going to do it. But I'm gonna bring up the dreaded word Navy, that the dreaded flex bone and triple option. So just talk about how difficult it is being able to take on those cut blocks on the perimeter and everything that flexbone attack presents.
Bubba, you may think I'm lying, but we literally practice for those guys in the spring.
Yeah,
we practice for them. I think it was twice a week. We practice for them during fall camp. We practice for them once a week until that game week, and we still went out there. If we're being honest, I think we should have ran cover 3, a base cover 3 the whole time, because honestly, if you watch the tape, within the first 5 snaps, I was subbing myself out because it's hard to chase the pitch man across the field, play after play, and still play off blocks and still be there to make the tackle. So that's the only thing I can complain about. Other than that, I had a decent game, but I mean, they broke an NCAA record on us, so.
Those are not the best of memories, but those are the things that every little dent, every little scar, every little scratch is what leads. That's what makes you what you are.
Yeah, those guys.
That scar tissue makes you tougher.
I mean, it made me appreciate. I mean, going into it, I didn't underestimate them, but they definitely earned my respect.
Discipline. They were very well disciplined team. Yeah.
I mean, that's a hard offense to stop.
Yep.
It just is.
That's how we played right there. And you watch video. Our offensive line were in 3-point stance, and they're moving forward at the snap of the ball. And see, that's not how football's played anymore. You know, everything is grab, reach, and grab. You know, and absolutely. We used to practice stalk blocking. I used to have to practice with my hands behind my back because we couldn't use our hands at all back then. You know, so because if we put our hands out on somebody, they were going to call holding, right off the bat. So we just had to practice. Just basically all we did, we got in the way, and you had to run through me to get to the ball. And if you did that and could make the tackle, well, I'm sorry, I'll just have to do better next time. But you ain't gonna do that. Yeah.
What about that regular? Sorry, Terry, and we had a little bit of a lag there. Chip, what about that regular season finale against Marshall? It's 65-59, and we were talking about this pre-show as well. Damon Magazoo, who's also a junior in 2012, just an unbelievable interception that he had at a critical juncture in that ball game. It was on the Pirate sideline there on the press box side, and he got the tiptoes down to make good on the interception.
So Magazoo is a underrated athlete. Let's just say that before every game he comes out, he does bad ball drills and works on his just catching the craziest balls. And yeah, Bubba, I kind of forgot about that play, but when we talked about it, I remember it. Man, I'm just trying to figure out where the quarterback was throwing the ball. Like, where was he throwing that ball? It was no receiver there, but I'm just glad Magazoo was in the right spot at the right time to make that play, because I was tired. Double overtime.
Yeah, that's
I just remember the celebration in the end zone there in the Murphy Center end zone when we won the ball game, and a bunch of you guys, of course, were taking off your helmets and bowling them because there was no doubt, and we were probably going to a bowl anyway, but we were going to the bowl with an 8-4 record instead of 7-5. So,
well, that Marshall game. So
going back to 2011, they up there.
Yeah, after I committed, I did a little research. Marshall is really an underrated rival. I mean, they can play. So beating them kind of sealed the deal for our season. Like, we were super happy to beat them in that double overtime game. I ain't gonna speak on the next year, but it is what it is.
Before we move on and talk 2013, let's talk a little about your trip to New Orleans. And unfortunately, it didn't result in our 9th win of the season, but played a very good Louisiana Raging Cajun team. But what about that bowl trip to New Orleans? Do you recall what was the bowl swag that year?
Bowl swag was my first bowl game, so they could have gave me some Legos and I would have been happy. But the bowl swag was it was good. We got nice jumpsuit, Beats by Dre. We got a tablet. It was a nice trip. I just wish we could have came away with the dub.
And obviously playing Louisiana, who's not far up the road, I think maybe a couple hours away in Lafayette. But that was even though it's such a massive venue, we had probably a legit 45 or 50,000. It got pretty loud in there that day.
Yeah. I had a teammate. I actually talked to him almost every day. Christian Ringo. He played for them. I played with him in high school, and they actually recruited me. So but going into that game, we knew it would be a home game for them. I mean, it's right down the street for them. We came out to a surprise. We did have a lot of fans in the stands, but I mean, that was a sea of red that day. They packed that stadium out for real. But I would say, again, that goes back to ECU. We are a big brand. We travel better than any school, I want to say.
No doubt. Like you're saying, and we're traveling like that to New Orleans for a New Orleans Bowl. So it's not hard to believe when you see that. You think back to the 91 season when we were playing in the first bowl game in 13 years for our program after having been independent for all those years, and we were still an independent up until 1997. But we were playing in that Peach Bowl. You were playing a rival against NC State in Atlanta, and so I think it was something like 30,000 or more than 30,000 made that trip to Atlanta.
Man, ECU, man. You can't. Words do it no justice. I was explaining to a coworker of mine a couple of days back. He was like, "How many people be at your game?" I was like, "If we're almost at capacity every game at home, so imagine what it's like on the road." So, I mean, ECU all the way.
So after that 2012 season, Coach Ruff made the decision to part ways with the guy who had recruited you, Brian Mitchell. So just talk about that transition, because obviously you were close to Coach Mitchell. That goes without saying, but you had Rick Smith, who had been on Skip Holt's staff as basically, I mean, he wasn't technically co-defensive coordinator, but Coach Hudson, who was the defensive coordinator, gave him a lot of credit for the success we had during those years. So Coach Smith, when the staff was let go at South Florida, we were able to lure him back to Greenville, and it was awesome to see Coach Smith. It meant so much to him. He got emotional in his introductory press conference.
First and foremost, Coach Smith, just like Lincoln Riley, both of them are crybabies. So we're just gonna say that. But I love him. But Coach Smith, man, I think we needed that at the time. Coach Smith was like that old school, we're going to tackle every day, whether you like it or not. Before we get to practice, you're going to be tired and you're going to have a headache. But in return, on Saturday, you're going to dominate. So Coach Smith really brought that grind mentality back to practice. So I appreciate him for it.
Yeah, that's something the Pirates right now under new defensive coordinator Blake Carroll, and I think it was probably the case last year as well under defensive coordinator Bob Trott. Under the Coach Mo regime, we were really lacking that as far as that emphasis on tackling day after day. Because I remember hearing an interview with Coach Smith following that 2016 season when he had stepped away from the game, and he was on Pirate Radio just saying how just talking about how day one of full contact, and the guys were doing what he had always done, wrapping up, doing all of the tackling drills, and Coach Mo came by and asked him what he was doing. So, but obviously there are different ways to go about things, but yeah, it was clear that we weren't tackling the way we should in practice.
I can't say much because I miss too many tackles at ECU. So, but tackling every day does make you better when it comes to game time. I promise it does. It's part of the game, so you have to do it every day. I mean, if you were a quarterback, that's like not throwing every day. So every defensive player should tackle every day.
So Chip, one of our usual co-hosts, Dave, who's working a baseball game tonight, he's chiming in. He said, "What's a good Rick Smith story?"
Let's see. One that's not going to be too graphic, I guess. Here's one. So Coach Smith, he was well into his 60s when he was coaching us. And I guess he had been, chewing dip his entire life. Well, he's a tough one. He can't put it at the bottom anymore. He got to put it up top. So I thought he was a real pirate, to say the least.
Yeah, that's good. I hadn't heard that. I knew he dipped. A school that I was working at, he actually came there recruiting Giannis Bowden, who played a few years after you. But when he came there recruiting Giannis, he had one in. So
Smith, he's a different type of guy.
And how many times did you? That's what on Pirate Radio he was talking about. How he's like, heck, man. He said you got to do it live, and talking about the importance of hitting. I can hear Rick Smith. I just love listening to an interview with him, that accent.
Yeah, man, he's a Florida guy all the way. That Southern accent comes out so hard, and you just be like, what did he say? Mississippi, so I have a Southern accent as well, but you just be like, what? Can you say it again, Coach? I'm not trying to be funny, but like, please just repeat yourself. So,
yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery, and today's a gift from God.
Yeah, I thought I'd never hear that again. I'm sorry.
Chip, earlier you referenced the black uniforms when we got those in 2013. So, from the players' perspective, because I don't think I've ever heard this, I know you referenced. I'm trying to remember. Was it the game that we broke them out for? Was it the game against? Was it FAU?
Yeah, it was FAU.
The night game against FAU. But tell us about that process and how that was done.
Well, for some reason, you know how on Christmas Day you kind of already know what you're getting, but you got to go through the process. We kind of figured we was getting the jerseys because we was like, "Hey, where's Hardy at?" Everyone's like, this must be the time where we get the jerseys, So they, dress Hardy up, and you already had the rumors on Twitter and all that type of stuff. So again, man, we had to act surprised, but I mean, I guess I wouldn't say we were surprised. We just were elated that it finally, because we had been wanting those jerseys for like forever. And I mean, it's fitting. Powers in black, it's super fitting.
Yeah, like you're saying, it is surprising that it had not been done before 2013. But when we finally broke them out, they were no doubt very sharp looking, and hands down, we set the standard for black uniforms very high from the get-go. And the ones we've worn since, some of them have looked good, but none of them have looked as good as those 2013.
Yeah, those, man, I promise you. And that thing, we knew we was getting black jerseys, but we didn't expect it to look that good. Just to walk in the room, we was like, because if we lose the FAU, we ain't gonna never hear the end of this.
Yeah, they did look good. I did like them.
And generally, when it comes to a uniform, I'm more of a traditionalist. But like even the purple stitching, on the top of the shoulders, you couldn't see it a lot of times, but maybe that's part of it. But like even when you zoomed in, you could see the purple stitching on the shoulders. I was okay with that. And part of it, I'm sure, is maybe psychological because we always played so well in them.
Oh yeah. Once we, especially that year, once we start winning in those jerseys, here comes the combination. I think one time we had the black jersey with the white pants, and Coach Ruff was getting crazy with it for real.
I remember the week after the 55-31 win at North Carolina against the Tar Heels. And like you're saying, when we broke out the white jerseys and the black pants over at Middle Tennessee. So 2013, we had gotten off to the 2-0 start. We beat Old Dominion and then FAU on that Thursday night. Then had the Hokies coming in.
We dropped the ball. Monteith.
Yeah, Monteith. It was a tough. It wasn't the easiest of pick sixes, but because he was right there.
I can see it right now.
Yeah.
He had to catch them, but I mean Zeke dropped one earlier that game too. So I mean, we let him off the hook for real.
Yeah. So 15-10 that day. I remember what a rough day the Hokies place kicker had, but after that heartbreaker, there were some naysayers around, even though we had just lost a heartbreaker like that to a good Virginia Tech team. And we were going to Chapel Hill, hadn't had a lot of success against those guys since we beat them in 2007. I remember it seems like everybody in the East Carolinian, the student newspaper, picked the Tar Heels to win. I remember one of your former teammates talking about that, how much that motivated you guys. And we also had an open date. And so just talk about the mindset, what the practice was like over that 2-week period going into Chapel Hill and then eventually hanging 55 on the Tar Heels. And give us a glimpse behind the scenes with Coach Ruff that day, how fired up he was, because you kind of already touched on it earlier.
Yeah, so honestly, after Coach Ruff said that statement, and I don't want to toot our own horn, I don't want to be too braggadocious, but Jimmy Booth said something earlier that week too. He said, Coach, they ain't built like us. Because all the work we put in, we was mad about the Virginia Tech game already, for one. But we remember all the work we put in that summer. And Coach Connor said if we beat them, he had a UNC tattoo. We beat them, he'll get it covered up with a pirate tattoo. I mean, it was too much on the table for us to not take it all. And I feel sorry for them because they just caught us on our best day too. I mean, Hardy and Carton had it going. Lance Ray had a monster day, and our defense was just, we were on them. I think how many sacks we had that game. It was crazy.
You mentioned Hardy. How about that block that he had when he peeled back and absolutely decleated a guy?
Can't do that no more. Coach Smith will be crying right now. Can't do it no more. That's one of my favorite parts of the game.
And that's what you talk about that day. This is obviously on the offensive side of the ball, but we were running plays so fast. It was funny to see us snapping the ball with 9 or 10 guys on the field for the Tar Heels.
Yeah, I mean, Boo put it together. They weren't built like us. We were in shape. We were specimens. I remember Coach Connors was saying, I can't think of that running back's name. I think his last name was Blue or something, though.
Yeah, and AJ Blue.
AJ Blue, yeah. He was like, it's going to take 2 or 3 of y'all to tackle Blue. And then, I mean, it's one play. He came across the field, caught a little pass, and I just smoked him. And I was like, I looked over the sideline like, what do you mean? They put their pants on the same way we do, one leg at a time. I mean, they're nothing special. We not only can we beat them, we are going to beat them.
Absolutely, that was a lot of fun. So, what was the celebration like in the locker room? I just remember you guys coming over to that corner of the stadium, going off the field, and of course, all the Pirate fans. chanting rough, 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 and you guys singing the fight song and alma mater.
Yeah, we were on top of the world like that. We, like pirates, we felt like we just came and just took somebody else's ship for real. It was amazing. I can't words do it no justice.
And that day against the Tar Heels, you had 9 tackles, but I know you said later on that year you really felt like your best game of the season was against FIU down in Miami. You had 9 tackles that day. And so what are your memories that stand out about that game against the Panthers?
Well, that game, of course, it was in Miami, so it was super hot, even late in the season. I mean, hot. But what stood out that game, my biggest thing was playing fast, and I played sometimes too fast. That game, I really took my time, slowed everything down, and the greatest thing about it, I think it was my highest grade of the season. I missed no tackles. I still ended up getting another matching my career high with 9 tackles, and I got that easy interception. I was like, why would you throw this pass? Everybody was on the sideline like, why would they throw that pass? But I got that interception, so it just topped it off. I really feel like that was one of my best games.
So that season, we were right in the Conference USA championship hunt. We take care of the Wolfpack in the next to last game of the regular season, and then unfortunately went up to Marshall in that regular season finale. We were coming off a tough week of practice. I know the weather was tough, and I've heard Coach Smith talk about that. And what are your memories of that? Not being able to seal the deal in that, but then bouncing back and winning the bowl game down in Tampa, St. Pete against the Ohio Bobcats.
That game, the Marshall game, of course, the weather, it was tough going to that practice week or whatever, but we shot ourselves in the foot. We came out there flat. I don't know if it was because we were playing in the cold weather.
Wasn't there something special? Wasn't there something special going on with Marshall that weekend? There was something about it. Maybe it was played the same date as the crash or something like that. There had something to do. There was some kind of emotional thing to it that they were really – it was one of those trap games where it was one of them days they weren't supposed to lose. And I don't know how in the world we got scheduled for that day. But
it could have been.
I can't remember exactly what it was, but there was something going on with Marshall at that time. What might have been the same date as the because it was late in the season, so it may have been played the same date as the crash. I'm not sure what date the crash was.
Yeah. The crash, Terry, was November 14th, 1970. So, I mean, it would have been, 40 years.
Yeah.
Nothing special as far as the anniversary there. And I think the game was definitely later than November 14th. So,
well, there was some reason that they had it was almost like there was something, I don't know exactly, I can't remember, but I had a lot of concussions, Chip, okay? We didn't have the same equipment you had. We didn't hit. We all hit different too.
Y'all was some barbarians.
I'm telling you, the thing is, there were no restrictions on practice. There were no restrictions on how much time you spent with So plus, we all lived in the same dorm, so that was it. That was another thing. So we ate together, slept together, walked to preseason. He'd take away our car keys, so you had to walk everywhere. And you'd hear people in you'd hear people in the middle of the night cranking them cars off and disappearing. People would quit, they'd find some keys. But it's tough to play in a game like that with the one that they were supposed to have. I'm sorry, I just don't believe there's going to be a football season, and I hope there is. But this thing with us and Marshall this year, that's a pretty emotional. That's an interesting setup there for both teams, basically. Interestingly enough, on a side note, I had 2 senior seasons, Chip. I was officially a senior 2 years in a row, okay? What happened is when I came in 74, you couldn't redshirt freshman. And I spent that year on the scout team. I came to East Carolina as a running back, and I found out in a hurry that I was not going to be able to load block Kerry Gadet. He's in our Hall of Fame, by the way. Kerry, he was a man. And when I went in there and took out that left knee the first time, and it kind of pissed him off, and so had to do it again. And when I did it the second time, he about killed me. And so I knew then it was going to be a long season. And so I spent a season on the scout team. Well, changed to split end, went on and played split end. But it's it's a tough, having to go through that process. Well, I never played in the game. I hated it. I wanted to quit. I didn't like nobody. I didn't like Coach Dye. I was mad at the world. Well, anyway, I changed positions. Things went good. So 77 was my last year, supposedly. Well, I'd moved out of the dorm, let my hair grow. I had a ponytail, of all things. Coach Dye didn't like that. But it was after spring. I didn't go through spring practice in 78. I was away from – well, NCAA passed the redshirt rule because of Marshall. Marshall had the plane crash and had to, do what they had to do. Well, when they started back, they were trying to build the program back up. So they asked the NCAA to pass the redshirt rule. Well, they passed it in 78, and that actually gave me a second senior season in 78. So I was able to play again. I got to live a year of my life over. And it was because of that situation. So even out of tragedy comes things like that, which is, again, if when you think you're in control, guess what? Amen, bro. See, I knew that there was something. There was a reason why I was meant to be around there. And, of course, that's the year we went to the Independence Bowl. And so I got to play in the Independence Bowl. And so that was pretty nice. But that's how I got to do that. And, again, it was that Marshall connection. So it's kind of weird between us and Marshall.
Chip, before we talk about the bowl game, I wanted to go back a little bit to that NC State win. And this is something I'm trying to remember. It wasn't Robert Jones, and I don't know if it was Trent Tigner, but it was one of your teammates. You talked on Pirate Nation and just our fan base and everything, just the potential of our program. Talk about that day in Raleigh, hearing the Pirate Nation chanting purple and gold late in that ball game with the Pirates up 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, that game was domination from the start. So we gave the program something to cheer about all the way up to that with the UNC win, and here we go with another rival against NC State, and we just totally dominated them. If they wanted, they could have just rushed the field. The energy was that high. Were you there, Bubba?
There we go.
I was trying to unmute myself, and I turned off the camera. But yes, I was that day. I was actually sitting right beside Scott Harley, who had played running back for the Pirates back in the 90s, and had rushed it against NC State for 351 yards at the Panthers Stadium.
Well, my 4 years playing NC State, we were 2-2.
See, we're not trying to toot our own horns, but we are the football team of North Carolina.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's no doubt. No, that's not too, because that's what Leo G, our chancellor, that was his vision. He took East Carolina from a NAIA school and moved us into the NCAA whenever we joined the Southern Conference in 1964. Well, 8 years later, he goes to Alabama and hires a coach to come to East Carolina. Now, think about that. Think about how much vision that took to go to Alabama, Bear Bryant, Paul Bear Bryant, and get a coach from there to come to East Carolina. Who'd ever thought about something like that? None of us had ever heard of East Carolina. I had no clue where they were. They put me on an airplane taking me to East Carolina. I didn't know where I was going. But then once I got there, I mean, that's my whole. I mean, I bleed purple and gold now. I mean, that's the way I am. And here in Middle Georgia, they call it LSU when they see my purple and gold. And I'm so tired of that. That's why I'm moving to North Carolina. Yeah.
Until in Mississippi, I'd be like, no.
You understand, because we have a very similar color, us in LSU. But Coach Dave remarked that there was no other school like ACC or whatever had the atmosphere of the game like ECU. We were more like the Southeast Conference than anybody he'd ever seen anywhere. And that's the truth. When we're winning and things are going like they should be going, and we got that pirate attitude, that is electric on Saturdays. And there ain't no finer place to be when it comes to tailgating. Good for the businesses, good for the city, good for the county, good for everybody east of I-95.
Chip, you referenced Coach Jeff Connors, strength and conditioning. Anybody that knows anything about Pirate football certainly knows about Coach Connors, but also EMAC, Emmanuel McDaniel, who's a defensive back and also played, I think, about a decade in the league. He was an assistant strength coach during your years. And I know he was in an interview here in the last few weeks. He was talking about how he ran the 300 with you guys, him and Robert Tate, and they were giving y'all. He said he ran 5. He said y'all ran 5. He said when we played, he said we ran 10.
That's probably true, especially if Coach C was coaching.
But he just ran 1.
I got it. I can believe Coach C would probably make them run 5 300s, possibly. He's crazy like that. But EMAC ain't never run with us. I think he had hurt his Achilles or something. He ain't never run with us, man.
I love to hear how each generation of Pirates, each team of Pirates, they will absolutely fight to the fact that their practices were tough, that their workouts were tough, that they did more than anybody else. And so I'll fight you on that one too, because we ran 2100s one day at practice.
No. I won't argue with you. We got saved. We got saved.
But if you've been out there, because it's the same 2 practice fields, and Coach Dye's the one put the tower up in between. There wasn't a tower until he got there, and we just hoped he'd stay in that tower all day, because if he ever came out of it.
No, I would not argue with you there. Y'all did play in a way tougher era than we did. If Coach Connors would have had his way with us completely, some of us wouldn't be here today.
Right. Well, see, we didn't have. You know where the weight room was when I got to East Carolina? It was underneath the stadium, and it was an old storage room.
I heard about that.
You can tell where the original stadium was if you look at the way the seats are. Well, when I got there, it held, I think, 20,000 is what Ficklin held. My high school stadium held almost that. So I mean, there was no such thing as street coach. Scales Fieldhouse. You know the building I'm talking about? That was our coaches' offices, our meeting offices, our equipment room, our dressing room, our weight room, and several other coaches' offices too. So and then see what you got now. And we won 34. We were 34-11 in 4 years on an 11-game schedule.
Come on now.
It ain't the wrappings. It's inside that package that counts, you know.
Most definitely. But
yeah,
that wrapping looks great right now, though.
Well, you got to have it, but at the same time, if you don't have it in here, and we got pirates, a true pirate has it. And if you've made it through and you've paid the price like all that have come before you, then like I say, brother, you're part of a great fraternity, and we're there. We're like an infestation. we're everywhere. People just don't realize it, and people do have more respect for us than what you hear in the media, because nobody really wants to come play East Carolina. And
oh no,
and to be able to host the teams that we do now, that came from our, we laid the groundwork for that, because people didn't want to come to Greenville. We lost two in the 70s. There were 2 games lost at Ficklen Stadium. The whole year, from 71 to 79. Go back and look at the record.
Sheesh.
2 games were lost in Ficklen Stadium.
So that's some heritage right there. That's great.
We owned the house, yes. We protected our house. I guarantee you that.
But Chip, after that disappointing day in Huntington, you guys were able to, collect yourself and get things together before the bowl game down in St. Pete, the Beef O'Brady's Bowl. So just talk about that opportunity to be the second team in East Carolina history to win 10 ball games and close your Pirate career out with that win over the Ohio Bobcats.
Well, it's a little bittersweet for me because I got hurt in the Marshall game, so I only played a few snaps in the bowl game. But it was not a question in our mind that we were going to go out with that win against Ohio. No offense to them, but Lincoln was, my bad. Coach Riley was just at peace, and he truly opened the playbook all the way up. Coach Smith had the guys fired up, and they threw a couple haymakers in the game, but we were ready for them, ready for whatever they had.
Right, and that's what's so great about it. Going and winning a bowl game like that. People talk about how, we've got all these bowl games, they're not that important. No, people, the ones that are saying that have never been to a bowl game. So, it's a special deal. Plus, it gives you extra work because you get those extra weeks of practice, and that's when you get to work the next year's team.
Yeah, that's truly what Coach Ruff always said. He said this is a great time because we can develop the team for this year, which the team after that year, as you can see, those guys step right up. Worthy. Oh my!
Yeah.
I'm not just saying that's my best friend, but
right.
He had the following year.
Well, I got hurt the first day of practice back for the Independence Bowl. I got hit in the eye with a football. We were doing a drill, and I was doing the drill, and I was looking at Ian, and of course I didn't close my eyes, so the ball, our face masks weren't like what they are now, and the ball went right in. It hit me right in the, and it tore my retina, and so I didn't practice the whole time before the bowl game. But come game time, guess what? Yeah, I was playing. Coach Dow wouldn't start me then. Now think about that. I had played 43 out of 44 at that time games, and he didn't start me in the Independence Bowl. I played the second play. I went in the second play, but that was his mentality. And
Coach Ruff had the same rule.
What's that?
I said Coach Ruff had the same rule.
Hey, that's it. You know where it came from, see, and he'll tell you too. But it was something. But it's that extra time because you get to work those guys that hadn't been worked that much all season, and then when you get to the bowl itself, that's when you work the guys that are playing in the game pretty much. But if you don't know how to play by then, because the starters need rest by that time. Because it's a gruel. If a guy says they played college football and never got hurt, they ain't played college football. Because you're going to get hurt.
Chip, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was about to just piggyback on what he said. After my first season at ECU, when I got home after the New Orleans Bowl, I think I slept for like 3 days.
Absolutely. And then you'd have to go back. You done spent your whole time at home sleeping.
Had to go back to Coach C.
Then you got to go back to
After
the
we
dorm.
lost the bowl game.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah. At least you didn't have to go to Belk dorm and sleep.
Yeah, that's true. No Campus Crossing was a great place to be.
I bet that was a little better. See, our daughter graduated from East Carolina in 2008. And she actually about flunked out of school while she was living on campus. So once she moved off campus and was living in an apartment, she did okay. But she graduated 2008 in communications, and she's now an ABC evening news producer in Houston, Texas.
Nice.
So like I say, there's pirates everywhere. You just never know. Mm-hmm.
No, Chip, what I was going to say a moment ago when Terry was talking about face masks back then weren't where they are now, obviously. I said he had the single bar face mask like Bobby Boucher and the Water Boy.
Just about. Now, you making fun of me, but that is just about the truth. Now, I'll tell you what that is exactly what it was. It had one bar right across that. But I'll tell you what. Yeah. Oh, I got kicked in the face in a scrimmage by the DB. He tackled me, and his foot came up and hit me in the nose. I broke my nose. It's hard to tell, but it got smashed in about a half inch. They had to lift it back out. I was back at practice Monday because that's what we did. I mean, all I did was go off in the scrimmage, and they packed it full of stuff, and I went back out and moved that because that's what you did. But, it's like this. You get to a point where if you want to play for college football, you better get out there and play because it ain't going to be there forever. And once you start getting toward the end, don't you, Chip, you really start realizing just what a great opportunity you have and how much fun it is.
Man, I miss it every day.
But when you play and you hate it,
True. You don't appreciate it while you have it right here.
Absolutely, because it's work, but it was hard work. Yeah,
especially during two-a-days.
Oh, two-a-days. How about 3?
Hey, I said two-a-days. That's what people think of. But, yeah, like you're saying, Terry, and we didn't have them like you guys did, but we actually, even in my day, back in the early 2000s, we had 3-a-days.
The worst practice to me at East Carolina, in Greenville, North Carolina, in August, is the time from 10 o'clock in the morning to 12 o'clock noon. The dew has come up about this high. And so about shoulder, well, for me, I was just, it was a little higher, but but that dew and that humidity and ain't no wind blowing and you got that heat coming down, that August sun will bake you. I mean, it will absolutely melt you out there behind on the practice field. And with that turf is hotter because it's got them black tires in it. So I would hate to have to do that. But I'll tell you what, there's been a lot of blood spilled, a lot of sweat put out, and a lot of puke on them practice fields back there behind us.
Yeah, most definitely.
I'm telling you.
But we have loyal Pirate fan William Grant, better known as Bubba Grant, tuned in tonight.
There you go.
Good friend of ours, Terry, and loyal viewer and listener. So we certainly appreciate the kind words, Bubba Grant, and we're glad you tuned in. Appreciate you tuning in and chiming in on a consistent basis. But Chip, you've been very generous with your time. But before we let you go, let's talk about the here and now and just what you've been up to the last 6 years or so since leaving East Carolina. Did you pursue any football after East Carolina? And then what did you major in? Because I know now, like we talked during the pre-show, you're in car sales.
Yeah, I had a tryout with the Giants. I did pretty good, but I ended up hurting myself. So
Ronnie Barnes with the New York Giants, the trainer, Ronnie Barnes. He's East Carolina man.
Come on now.
Ronnie was. He was. He was there in the early '70s when Carl Lester Crumpler He came from.
He's a Hall of Fame caliber athletic trainer.
Yeah, he is. And he's also the mayor. The family that owns the Giants. He's like part of their family. They have really welcomed him and he's done well. But yeah, I've told you we're everywhere. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I know you're good. Yeah, man. So after that, I've been selling cars. I ended up getting my master. I graduated from ECU with a communications degree as well.
Is that right? Okay.
Ended up getting my master's in MBA in marketing.
Okay.
I'm just selling cars. Hopefully, though, within the next three or 4 years, I can be teaching somewhere back in Texas, hopefully, and get to coaching, man. I miss it. I miss getting the itch. Got to be around football again.
You got to try everything. You got to really be wanting to be a coach. Because
I really want it, man. It's
giving back. When you give back what was given to you so freely, it's special. It really is special, and you'll never know the people you'll touch because the ones you never thought you had ever given you at the time of day will be the ones come back 10 years later and tell you how much they appreciate you. And so it's it's a great, and that's pirate. That's what we are. We are. That's our pirate. That's where I see a pirate. Is we're humble. We're about others. We're selfless, and we know who we we want to hold that rope if we're hanging on to it.
Oh yeah,
the pirate, yes sir. So.
And I know also in the pre-show when we were talking about Adonis Armstrong, who was not only a teammate at Hinds, but obviously with the Pirates as well. He's out in Hollywood. Is it true, Chip? And can you out-act Adonis?
Can I out-act Adonis?
Yes. Or who's the better actor, you or Adonis?
I don't know about acting, but I know who's a better football player. We know that for sure.
I'm telling you, if you don't believe you are the best, then you ain't got no business playing.
I think he believes it as well.
And he better believe it.
He believes I'm better than him.
Yeah, there's no I in team, but there is in commitment. See, so that's how you get a great team is when every individual is their best. Everybody's got to, and don't play everybody else's game. Play your game. You see them teams when they get out there, picking and telling, one player telling another player he ain't doing his job and doing this. No, that ain't team. That's no. Teammate gets back in the huddle and gets ready for the next play because there ain't nothing you can do about that previous play.
Last thing I have for you, Chip, as we're wrapping this up, Mike Houston going into year 2. Hopefully we'll have football this fall, but like Bubba Grant said, and as you said earlier, Captain Bunk, I really don't – it's not looking good, to say the least. So whether it's this fall in the spring or maybe the fall of 21, heaven forbid, what are your thoughts on the direction of the program under Coach Houston? And it's nice for guys like you who love the Pirates and gave your blood, sweat, and tears to the program to have the exposure that we do on ESPN and the college – sports or CBS College Sports Network to be able to watch the Pirates wherever you are?
My thing, first and foremost, I want to say I hope that they move it to the spring so we can get a full season without any interruptions and things like that. Mm-hmm. Also, because I'll be able to come to more games.
Yeah.
But Coach Houston, I think he's the real deal. I really do. I think he's going to turn things around. And I'm thinking I don't want to, go too far, but I'm thinking an 8-win season or better.
It's funny, Chip. I always tell these guys what people want to talk about. We're going to go 12-0. I mean, that's the way I look at it. But obviously, realistically, no, that's not going to happen. But if you don't go into every game expecting to win, what are you doing? We had a coach saying that our goal is to go to a bowl game. That's 6 wins. You're telling me your goal is to win 6 games this year on a 12-game schedule? No. My goal is to win 12 games. Jeez, how do you even think that way? I don't understand that mentality. But you got to realize East Carolina is blue collar. It's blood, sweat, and tears, and it's people that weren't given an opportunity like some were, and we definitely weren't fed from a silver spoon. You know, we're the ones that had to get it the hard way, and there's nothing will take place of hard work, and hard work will pay off. And Coach Houston's a lot like Coach Dye. I saw that, you know, when we had the Independence Bowl reunion. It just so happened, Coach Houston had just got to town, and I had got there the Friday night, and the hotel I was staying at, they were holding some recruits that weekend. And when I drove in, there's Coach Shank and Coach K. And of course, I've known Shank since early '80s, and we get out, we start talking. They said, "What are you doing up here?" And I said, "Well, we're doing the Independence Bowl gathering and all. And it's tomorrow, and I know y'all are going to be busy, but maybe Coach Houston could come by." So he came by, and Coach Dye and him got on the thing and talking together. It was. You need to go back. Anybody that missed that needs to go back and listen to it, because Coach Dye. He loves East Carolina, and it sounded like he was interviewing him. It sounded like he was checking him out to see if he was worthy of being at East Carolina. But I think he passed the Coach Dye test, and he's all about defense, running the ball, and kicking. And to me, that's why you win. Fundamental football. It's real simple. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Let's just take it and do what we're doing. And don't try to do what you're not. All these people try to be something they're not. Well, be what you are and be good at it and make people stop it. And that's what we have to do. And so you adjust with, different players, different personnel. You do different things. But you always go back to the fundamentals. And that's pretty simple. Make first downs. Don't give up big plays on defense. What is it? The 20-plus plays. If you keep an offense from breaking those 20-plus plays, they got to go down the field, and every time they snap it, what's going to happen? Something could go your way. But then there's that 8-play factor. What's going to happen after 8 plays? Offense is going to mess up. Yeah. It's hard to run 8 plays in a row perfect. So you just got to keep making them snap in the ball and do field position. That's where the kicking game comes in. Play on a shorter field than the other team. And that's what I think Coach Houston's I think he's a great hire. And we got to get behind him and do what we got to do to get through this thing right now and be ready to go whenever we do go. So enjoy talking to you, Chip. You the man. No doubt about it. I need to come buy a car from you.
Come on.
Chip, we really enjoyed the visit.
I'm moving right now.
We certainly didn't intend to go nearly this long. So I
do this every time I come out on the road.
No, it's definitely not just Terry. I've been running my mouth as well. But no, we've enjoyed the time you've given us, and appreciate you coming on. And say thank you to Mrs. Thompson as well. And we'd love to have you back on down the road.
Just agree with her.
Yes, please, man. I'll come back anytime. I love doing this type of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. It sounds good. And Pirate Nation, that is former East Carolina defensive back in 2012 and 2013, Chip Thompson, as you see there on the bottom right corner of the screen. Give us a follow on social media, on Twitter at TheSportsOBJ, on Instagram at The Sports.
He still couldn't cover me. I guarantee you he couldn't cover me.
Chip's coming to Wilmington, and I'll come down. I'll be the quarterback, and we'll make it happen, Terry.
Hey, a good defensive back don't think he can be beat, and a good receiver don't think he's ever been covered. So there you go, right there. All right, brother. Good to see you.
But appreciate everyone tuning in. Follow and subscribe wherever you listen to the show. You see, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like and follow on Facebook. And this will, of course, be archived on SoundCloud and Anchor in the audio-only format. But until next time, when Dave and Kyle will likely join you on Monday night at 7 o'clock when they catch up with former East Carolina Pirate defensive lineman Jeff Cook, for Terry Gallagher, better known as Captain Bunk, and Chip Thompson, I'm Bubba Rosenbaum, and you have been watching 50 Pirates in 50 days on the Sports Objective. Go Pirates.
Good. Thank you, Chris. Chip, good deal, man.